Welcome to our Spotlight series, where we feature the experts at SOLARCYCLE who are powering our mission and helping us achieve our ambitious goals. Today, I'm really excited to interview Dr. David Robinson, who's got one of the longest titles at SOLARCYCLE. He's our Director of Quality, Environment, Health, and Safety. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Suvi.
So maybe just to get started, David, can you share a little bit about your background, your education?
I've always been focused on kind of environmental aspects. I studied chemistry in college and spent a lot of time doing research on water purification. And so I went to University of Tulsa, got my undergraduate in chemistry and mathematics. And then I went and did graduate school and got my PhD at Princeton University in inorganic chemistry, where I continue to focus on environmental aspects. That environmental focus is kind of the through line throughout my career. After graduate school, I went to work for BASF, where I designed catalysts for air emission control technology. Had a couple patents for the material I developed there, and then took a step back and went into teaching. So I love talking about chemistry. So if we want to talk about chemistry, that's
where did you teach?
That's my real
where
comfort
did you
zone.
teach?
So I taught at St. Edward's University and some at Austin Community College, both in Austin, Texas. General chemistry lecture mostly. So I got the freshmen coming in bright-eyed, and I was a bit of a dream crusher that weed-out course, general chemistry. I also taught analytical chemistry and organic chemistry as well.
And before you got to SOLARCYCLE, we were working with you. You were at a consulting firm working on a range of things, including compliance audits. How did you get into that work?
Honestly, I was a teacher. Education doesn't pay that well, so I started doing environmental consulting on the side and loved the chemistry aspect involved with the environmental piece and trying to analyze the composition of waste materials and pollutants, and just loved that work, and so switched over to doing that full time. The consultant work was really rewarding because environmental compliance is really where you can make a lot of difference. There is a lot of misunderstanding and not a lot of education on how best to protect the environment in the industrial world, in corporations. And so being that consultant, being that coach to help them make sure they're doing the right thing. Most companies want to do the right thing, and in a lot of situations they don't know how. And so environmental consulting is really a great way to help provide that guidance and coaching and put all these different industrial organizations on the right path to make sure they were protecting the environment.
So, now that you've been working broadly within your field in compliance, environmental consulting, you've been working in solar recycling now for a couple of years. Why do you believe that compliance is particularly important for solar panels and clean energy and, e-waste electronics in general?
This is a new field. The regulations that get written out are trailing indicators. Right? The regulations don't get written before there is an industry. They get written in response to what gets developed in industry. And so the compliance field for renewable energy recycling there isn't a path there to be able to kind of blaze that path and create something that other people can follow that we can be proud of is definitely something that's exciting and something I wanted to be a part of. And just because of the social license to operate for renewable energy, we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way as we generate that energy. We want to continue to make sure we're protecting the environment as we go through the recycling. That just feels really important to make sure we complete that circle.
And from your vantage point, what risks exist if solar materials are not properly handled in the end of life?
In solar panels, they do use a number of components that can be hazardous when exposed to the environment. They use them in small amounts, but if not managed properly, they do present real environmental risks. Notably, lead and cadmium are the two primary hazardous constituents of concern that really need to be monitored and make sure they are managed appropriately.
Well, okay, so what are some of the key regulatory trends that you're seeing emerge or mature in solar recycling this year or in the next few years?
There's a regulatory push from the federal level to incorporate solar panels as universal waste. Universal waste is a category that's built in the rules for commonly generated hazardous waste, things like we used to have mercury thermometers and fluorescent lamps. These are hazardous waste that are commonly generated, and there's management standards to facilitate the handling of those. The federal government wants to include solar panels as universal waste, and there's a lot of potential there to simplify the handling of these, because in the absence of structure, right, like I said, it's uncertain, and states start to build out their own compliance structure. Trying to operate a national business with 50 different sets of rules is incredibly complicated and challenging. So that universal waste push is a big development in the regulatory landscape, as well as efforts to classify solar panels based on manufacturer documentation. So there's a big push to try to get solar panel manufacturers to provide the documentation themselves, whether or not those panels are going to be hazardous waste at end of life. So front load that decision and knowledge at the point of installation, so that everyone goes into that installation with eyes wide open as to what is that management standard that's going to apply to these at end of life.
So as you know, SolarCycle holds several of the leading certifications in our industry and the industry at large. Can you talk us through some of these certifications, what they mean, and why we've decided to prioritize those ones?
Yeah, SolarCycle has certifications in the ISO standards 9001, 14001, and 45001. Those are for quality systems, environmental compliance, and health and safety. SolarCycle has chosen to change certifications in those to provide a structure and a system that is auditable and third-party verified for responsible management and business practices for our recycling of solar panels. That's key for us to have that independent third-party audit to make sure that we have a system in place to consider the environmental aspects, the health and safety aspects of our process as in all steps of that chain. That ISO structure is a internationally recognized framework that's widely applicable, that provides a strong basis and system that we can build from there to make sure that we have a system that manages our material appropriately.
So David, one of the big concerns in recycling is really where these materials end up. And so one of your jobs, I always tell people, is to keep us honest, not only compliant, but honest in terms of what we do, how we handle things responsibly. So how do you help, and how does SolarCycle ensure traceability and responsible downstream processing?
Tracing the materials through the downstream is super important for making sure we're responsibly managing those materials. There's due diligence programs and compliance programs that kind of stop at acceptance. Oh, you have the right permits to accept it. But really the important thing is, what do you do with those potentially hazardous components as that material moves downstream to its end state? Maintaining traceability on those hazardous constituents like lead or cadmium as they move into your different reclaimed material streams is really important. And one of the things I do is make sure we have a program in place to test those materials so that we have analytical data to verify we know where those hazardous constituents are, and the things that we're producing that are clean and they're ending up in appropriate applications. We want to make sure that whatever end product our material goes to is one that can appropriately manage that, right? One of the things that you hear a lot is dilution is the solution to pollution, but anyone in environmental compliance hates that phrase, because that's you're not allowed to do dilution. You want to try to keep that lead concentrated and going to the right place and track that all the way through.
Many companies treat compliance as kind of a box to check. Knowing you and kind of the integrity that you approach things, I think that's probably one of the things that attracted you to SolarCycle was, we wanted to do things differently and not just have it a box to check, but have it as something that, both because we believe in it and also because it can be a business advantage by being a company that customers can rely on and trust. Now, having been here and helping drive it, how do you see that, with the work that you're doing at SolarCycle, that we approach it differently than just a check the box thing?
I think the biggest thing that attracted me to SolarCycle when I was a consultant was I was directly engaged with upper management, with the chief technology officer, with the chief operating officer, with the general counsel, and they took environmental compliance seriously. I was a consultant for a lot of different companies that dealt with hazardous waste, non-hazardous waste in all sorts of industries, and SolarCycle was just completely different, where there was just true commitment from the very top that environmental compliance was just built into the structure of the operations and the core of the company. It's really that management commitment from the top level that, in my mind, makes it different.
So if you had to summarize in a few sentences, why robust compliance matters for the future of clean energy, what would you say, or how would you summarize that?
It's in the name. It's clean energy. And if we can't create a process for this clean energy from cradle to grave, to use a compliance terminology, if we don't have an environmentally responsible way to management at the end of life, it doesn't live up to its name. We want to make sure that we have that compliance and program in place, not just because we don't want to get fined by the regulators, but because we want to do the right thing. We want to protect the environment and live up to the name clean energy. One of the things that I feel proud about for what we do is that we're not just trying to make sure our recycling operation is clean and follows the rules, but we're trying to set the standard for the industry. I love that about SolarCycle, that we are trying to educate our customers, not just to make them choose us, but to raise the bar for all our competition, to make sure that anyone that wants to get into the recycling solar panel business is held to a high standard, and that's going to protect that clean energy name and license to operate.
When I got into solar about 20 years ago, not in recycling, but in developing technology, manufacturing solar panels and tracking systems and so on, there are two things that really attracted me to solar. The first was, it was just a better technology, actually. I mean, you want to bet on digging coal out of the ground, or you want to bet on semiconductors, right? Semiconductors are going to win. It's just a better technology. But then also it was the right thing to do, right? It was renewable, it was clean. So it's like, you don't always find that where it's just inherently better technology, inherently the right thing for the planet and for the people that live on the planet and all the other living beings. And so I kind of think of what we're doing in terms of recycling in the same way. Like, we need to do the right thing, but also we need to develop the better technologies around that recycling. Like, how can we make it, long-term cheaper than landfilling? Or how do we make it so that the materials we're getting out have so much value, right? Whether it's silver or aluminum, that you want to get them out because it's better than mining them out of the ground, even just economically. Forget the environment for a minute. But I think marrying both those two things together, better technology and the right thing to do, that's sort of the way we measure, what we're doing. And I think I always believe that at SolarCycle, and with doing that in the solar industry, we could set a new bar for recycling in general for all industries, which I hope we can do. Okay, well, David, thanks so much. I really enjoyed the interview, and as you know, I'm really appreciative of the work you've done and helping SolarCycle become a strong partner for our customers out there to responsibly recycle panels. We wanted to profile and showcase you because it's one of those jobs that happens behind the scenes for the most part, although you do interface with our customers a lot. But we think it's hugely important for where the industry needs to go. And thanks for your time today, and I guess time to get back to work.
All right, thank you.